Hello and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe. Today I decided that as I had made a mistake a while back in one of the Silmarillion podcast videos regarding Sauron's original name, I had said that it was Gore Thor, which was actually incorrect. And I remember thinking a while afterwards that his original name was Myron, but I forgot about that video, and somebody was nice enough to correct me on that one in the comment section, which I do appreciate because I want to be called out when I make stupid mistakes like that. So I figured let's go back and revisit and discuss all of Sauron's names and titles, because why not? In that this will help us reach a deeper understanding of Sauron in universe. Because names are everything, and names are important, at least to Tolkien's mind. Figured that this would make a great video. The original name of Sauron was Myron, the Admirable. This is a Quenya name. It's derived from some of Tolkien's notes from the 1950s. That being said, another of his names is Tar Myron, that is to say, King Myron. Tar Myron meaning King Excellent, which suits his narcissistic tendencies, of which Sauron obviously has a lot of, as he's an egotist. There's Ziggur, which is to say wizard in Adunaic, and this one might confuse some people when you consider that the Astari were the original wizards of Tolkien's Legendarium, sort of. But one has to bear in mind that Sauron kind of operated in a similar way as Saruman, for example, except in the Third Age. In the case of Saruman, while Sauron operated more in the First and Second Ages in the manner of a wizard, and on behalf of Melkor rather than on behalf of the Valar or Eru Ilúvatar. He was amongst the original Maiar, that is to say, angelic spirits that are not counted amongst the very highest of the spirits that are in service to Eru Ilúvatar. Being one of these Maiar, it makes sense that he'd be called wizard. But in this case, I would say that it's less of a compliment, as it is in the case of, say, Gandalf. What is more is that Sauron did not make use of a magic staff of sorts. He was to make use of a lot of shape-shifting arts, turn himself into a variety of creatures, from a vampire to a wolf, elvish shape, when he took on the identity of Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, in the Second Age. Anatar, meaning Lord of Gifts, is similar to a name that Melkor took up when he was trying to seduce the first men, except the title that Morgoth used was that of Giver of Gifts. And the Lord of Gifts, well, in this case, it would be a gift that men would come to regret, and that the elves and dwarves regretted when Eregion was to play host to Sauron. There's also in the Second Age the names of Artano, High Smith, which is a nod to Sauron's skills as a smith, as he does have a knack for smithery and forging many gifts, such as the rings. In particular, one particular ring is what he became known for later in the Third Age. There's also Elendil, devoted to Aule. This, I'd say, is a bit of a ironic title because while he was a servant of Aule in the beginning, long before he descended into Arda, his misuse of the skills taught to him by Aule puts this devotion into question and turns it into almost a mockery. And of course, we arrive at Gore Thor, which is to say a name that's divided into two meanings. When united means terrible dread. I won't lie, I like Gore Thor the most out of all the names that Sauron has. I like it more than Sauron. Maybe that's why I thought it was his original name for a brief moment and stupidly said what I said. The Quenya equivalent to this name was Norsus. As to the epithet Sauron, it just simply means the abhorred. So obviously he was not very well liked. To his titles, there's a great many that he's given by many, such as Gandalf, who gives him the title of the Base Master of Treachery, which this name is used in reference to why the mouth of Sauron shouldn't be trusted when the mouth of Sauron tries to act as a kind of ambassador to Gondor. I say Gondor, but the representatives who lead Gondor, such as the king, Elisar, who was not yet crowned, but I call him king because he was king in all but name already. There's the Black One, which was used by Golem, the Black Hand, and the Black Master. All of these are a reference to the darkness that lies within Sauron. There's the Dark Lord, which we're all familiar with, and apparently was given to him after he arose in the Second Age and tried to conquer all of Middle-earth. There's the Dark Power, the Deceiver. Now, Deceiver is one used by Amandil just before he departed to go ask the Valar for deliverance from Sauron's corruption. The Enemy. This one is also common, and we all know. The One Enemy. This was used by Frodo at least once. The Eye. Yeah, we're probably all familiar with this one, especially thanks to the Peter Jackson movies. There's the Great. This is used by, in the mouth of Sauron. I think it was used by other characters, but I'm not sure. King of Kings, which was a title he gave himself. The Lord of the Earth, another self-given title. The King of Men. This title in particular is pretty arrogant. The Lord of the World. The North King. This was given to him by the Aegar. The Necromancer. Now, this one I'm well familiar with because of The Hobbit. There's the Nameless or the Nameless Enemy. There's also Nameless One. This is mostly used by Gondorians, I believe. There's the Lord of the Ring, or Lord of the Rings, which I'm not going to elaborate on this one because there's the Ringmaker, which is a fitting title. The Ruler, which, yeah. The Shadow. This one, I think, goes without saying because he's been called this multiple times. The Sorcerer, and that would be almost it. Oh, and there's Wolf Sauron, which was apparently used when he took on a dreadful werewolf shape and he tried to do battle with Huan, the doggy Maiar spirit. Sauron is not someone without flunkies, though. In the First Age, he had several of these, notably Thurin Gwethil, his vampirous herald, and Dragluin, the first of the werewolves of Angband, who was mortally wounded by Huan. There are many others all throughout Lord of the Rings, but I'd rather save that for another video. I just wanted to touch on those from the First Age that are in relation to his werewolf and vampire titles and names. So if you enjoyed this video and appreciated my little exploration and guide through Sauron's many names, hopefully you'll stay tuned for the next video, as I'm going to continue, at least in the context of Tolkien, with more Rohan stuff. But I am thinking about dallying back into names and creating a name guide playlist, as I rather enjoyed this. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button, as though you were Gore Thor himself trying to take down Gil-galad in the Second Age.